Pliny's career. Pliny was born in AD 61 or 62, the son of Lucius Caecilius, a wealthy landowner of Comum. After primary and secondary schooling at Comum, he moved to Rome, where his tertiary education at the School of Rhetoric was supervised by the renowned Quintilian and the Greek rhetorician Nicetas Sarcedos. His father has died earlier, and he was brought up under the care of the eminent Verginius Rufus and of his uncle at the elder Pliny. As explained in the Note 1 14.7, the republican leader of offices cursus honorum had been revised by the Emperor Augustus. A man seeking advancement to the Senate had first to hold one of the 20 minor offices, technically called the Virgintivirate, allocated by the Emperor. 10 of the 20 were appointed to the Board of 10 for judging lawsuits, de Cemuri Stilitibus Judicandis. These took turns in the presiding over the Centum Federal Court, which dealt with civil cases. The youth Pliny was presumably selected for this role because he had already pleaded and won his first case there, 118.3. Following this year's service, an aspirant was expected, though it was not mandatory, to gain experience of army service for a few months as a military tribune. A man of equestrian family might command an infantry or cavalry rahat, but Pliny's service in Syria was virtually in a civilian role, in which he supervised the cause of the auxiliary forces. This was during the first years of Domitian's principate. On his return to Rome, he became well known through frequent appearances as advocate in the Centum Viral Court, which assisted his rise to political eminence. Candidates for the 20 quaestorships were elected by the Senate, but as Pliny makes clear at 2:9.1f, a recommendation by the Princeps was at once accepted, and it seems certain that Pliny made his way without the formality of election, for he later reveals that he was appointed by Callistius Tiro as Domitian's assistant quaestor carceris, 7:16.2, a role in which he was required to convey the Senate communications from the emperor. His appointment as quaestor also gave him entry to the Senate. On the revised ladder of offices, a non-partisan quaestor was next required to take up one of 16 posts as aedile or as tribune of the plebs, tribunus plebis. Pliny reveals that he became a tribune, and that whereas the magistracy was widely regarded as a sinecure and an empty show, he had demanded due deference and was ready to respond to citizens' appeals in the time-honored way. Use auxilie C1:23. The office seems to have provided overzealous individuals with the opportunity to bring people to order, cf. 6:8.3, but in what circumstances is not clear. The next step was election to the praetorship, which Pliny gained probably in 93, one of the 12 vacancies each year. Never later raised the number to 18. 4 were nominated by the emperor. It is uncertain whether Pliny was approved by Domitian, who did however permit him to hold the office a year only, c. 7:16.2. The tradition function of praetors as guardians of the law was maintained. One presided over the centumviral court, and others supervised criminal trials, and occasionally convened the Senate. The incumbents of praetorship gained a high profile in organizing and financing public games. See 7:11.4, where Pliny mentions that he appointed a substitute to preside in his absence. On laying down their office, ex-praetors were offered administrative posts at Rome or in the provinces. Pliny was appointed as prefect of the military treasury, praefectus aerarii militaris, when his duties were to pay out pensions to discharged troops from the 5% tax imposed on inheritances and 1% tax levied from auction sellers. This was his final appointment under Domitian. At the close of the Panegyricus, he suggests that his career had prospered until the emperor proclaimed his hatred for good men, doubtless with reference to the purge of 93-94 and the execution of the emperor's cousin Clemens in 95. Pliny's progress was halted, which suggests that he resigned or was replaced. Following the assassination of Domitian in September 96, Pliny's career was revived. From January 98 to August 100, he was prefect of treasury of Saturn, praefectus aeraris Saturni, so called because it was located in the temple of Saturn below the Capitol. Thirdly, with Cognotus Tertullus, the aerarium was the civil treasury administered by the Senate, as distinct from the fiscus, the imperial treasury, which had control over taxation in the provinces. In August 100, he was raised to the suffect consulship for the month September to December. In 103, his eminence was further signaled when Trajan acceded to his request for a priesthood. There was a vacancy to be filled in the agorate, and Pliny's priesthood, being nominated for this honor, was redoubled by the knowledge that his idol Cicero had held the same priesthood and at a large age. See 10:13, 6:8. In the following year, he was designated a curator of the Tiber, its banks, and the city sewers, curator alui Tiberis et riparum et cloacarum. This was a highly responsible post, since flooding was a perennial hazard at Rome as 17 attests. During these years of the early 2nd century, Pliny continued to shoulder other responsibilities as advocate and assessor in the centurial court, the Senate, and the emperor's council. Pliny's crowning appointment came in 109 or 110, the date is disputed. He was appointed by Trajan to govern the province of Bithynia Pontus as Propraetorian legate with consular power, legatus propraetore consulari potestate. Hitherto the province had been administered by the Senate, which had appointed proconsuls as governors, but recent scandals, which implicated the leading officials Julius Bassus and Marinus Rufus, prompted Trajan to assume direct control. Pliny had been involved in the extortion trials of these governors, see 4:9, 5:20, so that he already had some acquaintance with the problems of the province. The 60 letters in Book 10, which he wrote to the burgesy of Rome, reveal a fascinating glimpse of the range of problems which comforted him as he sought to establish probity in the finances and administration of the cities. The letters ceased abruptly before the 3rd year of the tenure of his office. It seems certain that sudden death overtook him in the province, probably shortly after his wife had left for Italy, on hearing the death of her grandfather.